Men over 60, you've been told to stay silent about your needs. But what if that silence is the reason you've stopped feeling anything at all? You think it's just aging, but it's not. It's what you've been doing or not doing for years. And I'm here to tell you it's not too late, but it starts now with the truth. You sit across from me, quiet, proud. You don't say much, but I see it in your eyes. The fatigue, the hesitation. You never talked about this. No one ever showed you how. So you kept going, silent, private, hoping it would all still work. But now, the pleasure's faded, the connection gone, and you're left wondering, is this it? Is this how a man fades? I've seen this before, over and over. Strong men, good men, not broken by disease, but by what they never knew. That's why I'm here, to walk you through 7 truths about masturbation after 60. Truths that could save your confidence, your health, maybe even your life. No one teaches this, not your doctor, not your friends, but you deserve to know. Because your body isn't failing you, it's just forgotten how to feel. Let's help it remember. Truth number 1. Mindless masturbation is quietly destroying your sensitivity. Let me tell you about a man named Richard, 74, retired Navy, built like a rock, handshake like steel. But when I asked him about pleasure, he looked down and said, "Doc, I still do it, but it doesn't feel like it used to. Sometimes I finish, sometimes I just stop. I don't even know why anymore." And I knew exactly what he meant. Because I've seen this again and again, in men who think they're just slowing down. But what's really happening is that their body is being trained into numbness. And here's the hard truth most men never hear. It's not the act itself. It's the way you've been doing it for years. Alone, fast, no emotion, same hand, same routine, same screen. Just release and forget. But what you don't realize is your nervous system is learning from that. Every rushed session tells your brain, this is arousal, this is pleasure. And your brain listens. It adapts, narrows, automates. Until one day, even a real touch from someone else feels like nothing. You can't respond. You need more pressure, more time, more tricks. You start thinking something's wrong with you, that maybe you're broken. But you're not. You've just overtrained the wrong pattern. Repetition without awareness is not harmless, it's destructive. Think about it. You wouldn't train at the gym with the exact same motion, same weight every day for 20 years. You'd wreck your joints, you'd lose balance, you'd stop progressing. So why would your sexual system be any different? Mindless masturbation desensitizes your brain. It breaks the link between your body and your emotions. And when that happens, you don't just lose sensation, you lose connection with others, with yourself. And from that comes frustration, shame, withdrawal, even depression. Not because you've aged, but because you've disconnected. So let me say this clearly. You don't need to stop touching yourself, but you do need to change how you touch yourself. Because if you can train your body into dysfunction, you can also train it back into aliveness. Truth 2. Ejaculation isn't optional after 60. I remember a man named David. He was 68, reserved, polite. He came to me complaining he couldn't sleep, said he was up 5-6 times a night to pee. He thought it was just age catching up. But when I asked, when was the last time you ejaculated, he blanked, then said, "Honestly, Doc, I haven't done that in years." And that's exactly the problem. Most men don't know this. Your prostate doesn't shut down just because your sex life does. It still produces fluid. And if that fluid isn't released, it builds up, quietly, day after day, month after month, until pressure turns into congestion. Congestion turns into inflammation, and that becomes discomfort, urgency, pain, or worse. It's not just annoying, it's dangerous. Studies have shown that chronic prostate congestion can increase your risk of prostate cancer. One Harvard study tracked nearly 30,000 men and found those who ejaculated at least 21 times a month had significantly lower risk. This isn't about chasing pleasure. It's about keeping a vital part of your body flowing, healthy. You wouldn't let your heart clog up. Why let your prostate? So here's the truth. If you're not releasing, your body is retaining. And what it retains can hurt you. But it doesn't have to. All it takes is staying connected to your body, not out of lust, but out of care. Truth 3. Shame damages your mental health. There's a kind of silence I see in a lot of men. Not the kind you hear, the kind you feel. It shows up in the way your eyes shift when I ask about sex. In the quick laugh, the shrug. Doc, that's not something I do anymore. That was for when I was younger. But I hear the subtext. It's not that you don't want to touch yourself. It's that somewhere along the way, you were taught it was wrong to keep going. Taught by culture, by religion, by family. And that shame, it didn't disappear. It settled in your nervous system, in your posture, in your sleep, in the way you carry yourself when no one's looking. Over time, that quiet shame becomes disconnection. You start to pull away from touch, from pleasure, from yourself. Not because you've changed, but because you were conditioned to believe you should. And the cost is heavy. Not just emotionally, but biologically. Shame raises your cortisol, disrupts sleep, worsens blood pressure, clouds memory, feeds depression. I once had a patient in his 70s, recently divorced, withdrawn. No health problems on paper, but he was numb. He hadn't touched himself in over a decade. I thought that chapter was closed, he said. But what had really closed was his connection to life. We didn't start with pills. We started with presence. Simple exercises. No guilt, no pressure, just touch, without shame. And slowly, he began to come back. He laughed more, slept better, walked taller. You see, when you allow yourself to reconnect, even privately, your brain responds. You boost dopamine. You release oxytocin. You rebuild emotional trust with yourself. Because touching yourself isn't just about pleasure. It's about reminding your body, I still care. So here's your truth. You are never too old to feel whole. You are never too old to touch yourself with dignity. Truth 4. Testosterone drops when you disconnect from desire. Most men think their testosterone drops because of age. And yes, time plays a role. But what if I told you it actually drops faster when you stop living like a man who still wants to feel alive? Let me explain. Your body is always listening. It watches how you move, what you desire, what you ignore, and over time it adapts. If you stop engaging with your sexual self, if you stop touching, imagining, feeling, your body gets the message loud and clear. He doesn't need this anymore. So it downshifts. Testosterone production slows, blood flow weakens, muscle tone fades, your belly grows, sleep suffers, your edge, your spark dims. Not because you're broken, but because your body thinks you've already checked out. I remember Frank, 73, retired firefighter. Used to be all presence and power, but when he came to me, he looked hollow. I'm just slowing down, Doc. But his labs told another story. His testosterone had bottomed out. I asked about intimacy. He just shook his head. Don't see the point anymore. That was the real threat, not his age, his belief that he didn't deserve to feel desire anymore. So we started small, simple solo practices, not for arousal, but for remembrance. And slowly, his voice deepened, he stood taller, his mood lifted, his blood work improved. Because when you send your body the message, I still want to feel, it listens. This isn't just emotional, it's chemical. Even brief, intentional sexual activity, yes, even solo, can stimulate short-term increases in testosterone. And over time, that signal helps your system stay alive, vital, responsive. So here's your truth. Your hormones don't just fade because of time. They fade because of silence. Because your body stopped being reminded that you're still here. Truth 5. Erections are a use-it-or-lose-it system. There's a quiet lie many men start to believe after 60. If I'm not having sex, I don't need erections anymore. I've heard it hundreds of times. But let me be direct. That belief is costing men their health. Because here's what most don't know. Your erection isn't just about sex. It's about blood flow, nerve function, vascular integrity, longevity. When you stop getting erections, not because you can't, but because you think there's no reason to, your body doesn't wait around. It starts shutting the system down. I had a patient, Harold, 69. No major complaints, just said he felt dull. He hadn't had an erection in years. My wife passed, and I figured I was done with that part of life. But biologically, his body was far from done. The penis, like any vascular muscle, needs stimulation. Without it, blood vessels stiffen, tissues lose elasticity, oxygen flow drops, fibrosis sets in, soft tissue turning to scar. And here's the worst part. This happens whether you want to be sexually active or not. It's not about performance, it's about preservation. Because if you don't use it, not only do you lose function, you start to lose confidence. You avoid mirrors. You avoid yourself. And slowly, that physical decline becomes emotional, even cognitive. Yes, losing regular erections has been linked to early memory decline. So what can you do? You can remind your body through solo stimulation, through non-sexual arousal, through anything that tells your system, this still matters. I still care about feeling alive. It's not about chasing pleasure. It's about keeping your identity intact. So here's your truth. Your erection isn't just about your sex life. It's a message to your body. A message that says, I'm still in the game. Truth 6. Porn is rewiring your brain. I want to talk about something that makes most men uncomfortable, especially men your age. Porn. Now, before you look away, just hear me out. Because this isn't about judgment. This is about your brain and what decades of silent habit might be doing to it. You're not addicted. You're not weak. You're human. You've been alone. You've been coping. And sometimes, porn was all you had to remind you what arousal used to feel like. But here's the truth no one told you. The porn you're watching now isn't like what you grew up with. It's faster, louder, more extreme, more artificial. And your brain was never built for that. Every time you watch it, especially the intense kind, your brain floods with dopamine, the reward chemical. At first, it feels good. But over time, your brain adapts. It starts demanding more novelty, more stimulation. And what used to excite you doesn't work anymore. That's not a moral failure. That's neuroplasticity, your brain rewiring itself. And the cost? Your sensitivity drops. Erections become harder to maintain. Real touch feels boring. And climax without porn, nearly impossible. Some men even develop porn-induced erectile dysfunction, able to perform only with a screen, not a person, not even with themselves. And worst of all, they never realize it was porn that caused it. They blame age, they blame stress, but the real thief was the habit they used to escape. But here's the good news. This can be reversed. Your brain, even at 60, 70, beyond, can heal. But only if you stop numbing it with artificial highs. Some men take a break, 30 days, no porn, no overstimulation. Others wean off slowly. What matters is this. Start reconnecting with what's real. Your imagination, your breath, your own body. Not fantasy, not pixels, just presence. Because pleasure isn't supposed to be hollow. Truth 7. Isolation is the most dangerous loss. Let me ask you something personal. When was the last time someone touched you? Truly. Not a handshake, not a pat on the back. I mean real human contact. A hand on your shoulder. A hug that said, "You're still here. You still matter." For many men I talk to, the answer is, "I don't remember." And that is the most dangerous truth of all. Because isolation doesn't just mean living alone. It means disconnecting from your body, your emotions, your sense of worth. I remember Peter, 76, sharp mind, kind man, lived alone, widowed, still active. But when I asked about touch, he said, "I haven't been touched in over a year." And then he smiled, not with joy, but with resignation, like that part of him had been packed away. What Peter didn't realize, what most men don't, is that touch isn't a luxury, it's a biological need. When we go too long without it, oxytocin drops, stress hormones spike, blood pressure rises, sleep falters, the brain begins to shut down emotional circuits, and we start to go numb. Not just physically, emotionally, spiritually. You stop looking in mirrors. You stop imagining things that once made you smile. You stop feeling. It begins with a skipped routine, then a week without touch, then a month without arousal, and soon your nervous system forgets what it means to be alive. But here's what I want you to remember. You don't need a partner to break that silence. You don't need permission to reconnect. You only need one thing: yourself. Touch your body with care, with presence, with respect. Because every time you do, you tell your brain, "I'm still here. I still matter." You don't need to disappear. You just need to come back, one quiet moment at a time. If this spoke to you, even a little, do one thing right now. Drop a comment below. Tell me, which truth surprised you the most? How long has it been since you felt truly connected to your body? Share this video with someone you care about, someone who might be struggling in silence. And don't forget to subscribe for more science-backed truths made for men like you. You're not invisible. You're not broken. You're still here. Let's help your body remember that.